Imagine a ship that cannot sink. A vessel designed with a hull so buoyant, it's practically a floating cork. Now, imagine finding that ship 5 weeks after it vanished, drifting aimlessly in the South Pacific. The engines are cold, the cargo is gone, and of the 25 souls who boarded, not a single one remains. The year is 1955. The location? The glistening waters between Samoa and the Tokelau Islands. This was supposed to be a routine 48-hour trading run, but the MV Joyita would become the Mary Celeste of the South Pacific. Captain Thomas Miller was a man under pressure. His license had expired, his debts were mounting, but the Joyita was his pride. She was a luxury yacht turned trading vessel lined with refrigerated cork. Miller knew one thing for a fact: no matter what the ocean threw at her, the Joyita would never go down. This confidence might have been his fatal flaw. On board were 16 crew members and 9 passengers, among them a government official, a doctor, even 2 children. They weren't soldiers or adventurers. They were people just trying to get home. On October 3rd, they cast off from Apia Harbor, leaving safety behind. By October 6th, the ship was overdue. The port authorities waited. Families stood on the docks, scanning the horizon. But the horizon remained empty. The Royal New Zealand Air Force swept thousands of square miles of ocean. Nothing. Just the endless, mocking blue. 5 weeks later, November 10th, the merchant ship Tuvalu spots a shape near Fiji, 600 miles off course. It wasn't moving. As they pulled closer, the crew went silent. The Joyita was listing heavily to port, her rails awash in the sea. She was a ghost ship. A boarding party climbed onto the tilted deck. The silence was heavier than the humid air. They shouted hello, no answer. What they found next turned a maritime accident into a chilling crime scene. The ship's radio was tuned to the international distress frequency, 2182 kilocycles. But here's the twist. A cable was broken. The signal would have only reached 2 miles. Captain Miller was sending maydays into the void, screaming for help that nobody could hear. 4 tons of cargo were gone, but not stolen. There was no logic to it. Even stranger, the flying bridge was smashed, the windows were broken, an awning had been rigged over the deckhouse, as if they were trying to catch rainwater. They had survived the initial disaster, so where were they? And then, the most disturbing find. A doctor's medical bag on the floor. Inside, a stethoscope, a scalpel, and 4 lengths of bandage stained with blood. Someone was hurt, badly. Every clock on the ship had stopped at the same time, 10:25. Was this night or day? Was this the moment the generator died, or the moment the last person left the ship? Time itself had frozen on the Joyita. Investigators found a corroded pipe in the cooling system. Water had flooded the bilges. The theory? The crew panicked. They thought the ship was sinking. But Captain Miller knew she was unsinkable. He would have never given the order to abandon ship. So why is the ship empty? This leads to the darkest possibility: mutiny. Did the passengers and crew, terrified by the rising water, turn on the captain? Miller fights back, hence the blood, but is overpowered. They launch the life rafts into the pitch-black ocean, believing they are saving themselves, only to sail into oblivion. Or was it something else? In 1955, post-war tensions were high. Rumors swirled of rogue Japanese fishing fleets operating illegally. Did the Joyita see something it shouldn't have? Were they boarded, the cargo stolen, and the witnesses removed? The tragedy is this: the Joyita did not sink. She stayed afloat for 5 weeks. If the passengers had simply stayed on board, they would have been found alive. Their fear was more dangerous than the ocean. The ship was eventually repaired and sold, but she was cursed. She ran aground 3 more times before finally being stripped for parts. The hull that wouldn't sink eventually rotted away on a beach. The ocean keeps its secrets, and somewhere in the deep, the answer to the Joyita mystery is waiting. What do you think happened? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more unsolved mysteries. Thank you for watching.